Qari Zahid, how are you?
الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. دكتور كيف الحال؟
How's everything?
الحمد لله الحمد لله. I'm good.
Alhamdulillah, good.
How's the family?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Very good. Thank you for asking. All right, we're on live now. We'll just wait a few seconds until everyone shows up. Inshallah.
إن شاء الله.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to our Jum'ah again, still online. And before we begin, and I'll mention this again, many people are wondering if other masajid are open, am I obligated to go? Well, the answer to that is that provided that if there is any type of harm, then the obligation is lifted. So these other masajid cannot hold 500-600 people, 700 people in a Jummah. It'll actually be completely against the purpose of the whole thing, which is that these gatherings be small in nature. So if that's the case, then in that case, that person is not obligated to put themselves in that situation. And are you in that situation? That's really for you to decide. But the fiqh of it tells us that if there is any type of harm, then you are not obligated to put yourself in that type of harm. So it's really up to you to decide, you and those who are experts in the field, if there are any, if you are in harm's way or not of getting the coronavirus by going to a jam-packed Jummah. So that will differ based upon people's opinions. So we'll bring that up again later on, but that's just a little point because I know many people are wondering and asking about that. Today's schedule, we will begin with Surah Al-Kahf, and then Sami Karavik has some announcements, and then I will do a talk, and then we'll have the live chat going. And then we will have tonight's event, which is the first time that we'll be doing, provided it doesn't rain. It doesn't look like it's going to rain. We'll be having our dhikr night in the park tonight, social distance dhikr. And inshallah, we'll give the details for that, but it is set for 7:30. All right. And then Sunday, we have classes. So if you haven't signed up for Safina Society classes, do so now. And the following Monday, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday is the kids camp, which you don't want to miss out on. The kids will be having an online camp that from 9 to 12, if I'm not mistaken, it's mbic.org. And Sami Karavik, Melek Saima, Zaina Saima, they always run a really fun camp. And I actually used to go and participate in that as a teacher. And it was always fun, great spirit, the rahmah of Allah Ta'ala. If you want to know where there's rahmah, it's where there are kids learning the Quran and praying and being with each other in a safe and good way. So without any further delay, we will turn it over to Qari Zahid Rafiq.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين يحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قوم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا وكذلك بعثناهم ليتساءلوا بينهم قال قائل منهم كم لبثتم قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم قالوا ربكم أعلم بما لبثتم فابعثوا أحدكم بورقكم هذه إلى المدينة فلينظر أيها أزكى طعاما فليأتكم برزق منه وليتلطف ولا يشعرن بكم أحدا إنهم إن يظهروا عليكم يرجموكم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم ولن تفلحوا إذا أبدا. وكذلك أعثرنا عليهم ليعلموا أن وعد الله حق وأن الساعة لا ريب فيها، إذ يتنازعون بينهم أمرهم فقالوا ابنوا عليهم بنيانا ربهم أعلم بهم. قال الذين غلبوا على أمرهم لنتخذن عليهم مسجدا سيقولون ثلاثة رابعهم كلبهم ويقولون خمسة سادسهم كلبهم رجما بالغيب ويقولون سبعة وثامنهم كلبهم قل ربي أعلم بعدتهم ما يعلمهم إلا قليل فلا تمار فيهم إلا مراء ظاهرا ولا تستفت فيهم منهم أحدا ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9 قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشفي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا واضرب لهم مثل الرجلين جعلنا لأحدهما جنتين من أعناب وحففناهما بنخل وجعلنا بينهما زرعا كلتا الجنتين آتت أكلها ولم تظلم منه شيئا وفجرنا خلالهما نهرا وكان له ثمر فقال لصاحبه وهو يحاوره أنا أكثر منك مالا وأعز نفرا ودخل جنته وهو ظالم لنفسه قال ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا وما أظن الساعة قائمة ولئن رددت إلى ربي لأجدن خيرا منها منقلبا. قال له صاحبه وهو يحاوره أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا. لكن هو الله ربي ولا أشرك بربي أحدا. ولولا إذ دخلت جنتك قلت ما شاء الله لا قوة إلا بالله إن ترني أنا أقل منك مالا وولدا. فعسى ربي أن يؤتيني خيرا من جنتك ويرسل عليها حسبانا من السماء فتصبح صعيدا زلقا أو يصبح ماؤها غورا فلن تستطيع له طلبا. وأحيط بثمره فأصبح يقلب كفيه على ما أنفق فيها وهي خاوية على عروشها ويقول يا ليتني لم يشرك بربي أحدا. ولم تكن له فئة ينصرونه من دون الله وما كان منتصرا. هنالك الولاية لله الحق هو خير ثوابا وخير عقبا. واضرب لهم مثل الحياة الدنيا كماء أنزلناه من السماء فاختلط به نبات الأرض فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح وكان الله على كل شيء مقتدرا. المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير نملا. ويوم نسير الجبال وترى الأرض بارزة وحشرناهم فلم نغادر منهم أحدا وعرضوا على ربك صفا لقد جئتمونا كما خلقناكم أول مرة بل زعمتم أن لن نجعل لكم موعدا. ووضع الكتاب فترى المجرمين مشفقين مما فيه ويقولون يا ويلتنا ما لهذا الكتاب لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها ووجدوا ما عملوا حاضرا ولا يظلم ربك أحدا. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس كان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه أفتتخذونه وذريته أولياء من دوني وهم لكم عدو بئس للظالمين بدلا. ما أشهدتهم خلق السماوات والأرض ولا خلق أنفسهم وما كنت متخذ المضلين عضدا. ويوم يقول نادوا شركائي الذين زعمتم فدعوهم فلم يستجيبوا لهم وجعلنا بينهم موبقا. ورأى المجرمون النار فظنوا أنهم مواقعوها ولم يجدوا عنها مصرفا. ولقد صرفنا في هذا القرآن للناس من كل مثل وكان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا وما منع الناس أن يؤمنوا إذ جاءهم الهدى ويستغفروا ربهم إلا أن تأتيهم سنة الأولين أو يأتيهم العذاب قبلا وما نرسل المرسلين إلا مبشرين ومنذرين ويجادل الذين كفروا بالباطل ليدحضوا به الحق واتخذوا آياتي وما أنذروا هزوا ومن أظلم ممن ذكر بآيات ربه فأعرض عنها ونسي ما قدمت يداه إنا جعلنا على قلوبهم مكنة أن يفقهوه وفي آذانهم وقرا وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى فلن يهتدوا إذا أبدا وربك الغفور ذو الرحمة لو يؤاخذهم بما كسبوا لعجل لهم العذاب بل لهم موعد لن يجدوا من دونه موئلا وتلك القرى أهلكناهم لما ظلموا وجعلنا لمهلكهم موعدا وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا فلما بلغا مجمع بينهما نسيا حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا فلما جاوزا قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا قال ذلك ما كنا نبغي فارتد على آثارهما قصصا فوجدا عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما قال له موسى هل اتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا وكيف تصبر على ما لم تحط به خبرا قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي لك أمرا قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا قال ألم نقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا وأما الغلام فكان أبواه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما خيرا منه زكاة وأقرب رحما وأما الجدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تسطع عليه صبرا ويسألونك عن ذي القرنين قل سأتلو عليكم منه ذكرا إنا مكنا له في الأرض وآتيناه من كل شيء سببا فأتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس وجدها تغرب في عين حمئة ووجد عندها قوما قلنا يا ذا القرنين إما أن تعذب وإما أن تتخذ فيهم حسنا قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا فله جزاء الحسنى وسنقول له من أمرنا يسرا ثم أتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مطلع الشمس وجدها تطلع على قوم لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا كذلك وقد أحطنا بما لديه خبرا ثم أتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ بين السدين وجد من دونهما قوما لا يكادون يفقهون قولا قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض فهل نجعل لك خرجا على أن تجعل بيننا وبينهم سدا قال ما مكني فيه ربي خير فأعينوني بقوة نجعل بينكم وبينهم رجما آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه وما استطاعوا له نقبا قال هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد ربي حقا وتركنا بعضهم يومئذ يموج في بعض ونفخ في الصور فجمعناهم جمعا وعرضنا جهنم يومئذ للكافرين عرضا الذين كانت أعينهم في غطاء عن ذكري وكانوا لا يستطيعون سمعا أفحسب الذين كفروا أن يتخذوا عبادي من دوني أولياء إنا أعتدنا جهنم للكافرين نزلا قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون صنعا أولئك الذين كفروا بآيات ربهم ولقائه فحبطت أعمالهم فلا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا ذلك جزاؤهم جهنم بما كفروا واتخذوا آياتي ورسلي هزوا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا صدق الله العظيم.
صدق الله العظيم وبلغ رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. We now turn to Sami Kadovic for some announcements. Just wait till Sami turns his camera on. And there he is. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to all. Alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with another opportunity to be on this Yom al-Jum'ah. And just as a reminder for myself and all of you, although we are not praying Jummah at MBIC today, we want to still continue with the sunnahs of Jummah and take advantage of the blessed day, even if we haven't gathered together in the masjid. Inshallah ta'ala, we're working on establishing a protocol and a procedure that would be safe for Jummah prayer to be held. And we will keep you informed of that. As you know, the daily salawat have been established, but there is no, as of now, there's no Zuhr or Jummah at MBIC on Friday afternoons. Please continue to join us until further notice for the recitation of Surah Al-Kahf and the Jummah reflections of Sheikh Shadi. Secondly, just as a reminder, tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to try something a little bit unique. And so we invite you to come out, and that is to have dhikr night outside. Right, to celebrate the praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the outdoors, inshallah ta'ala. And so we're going to do that at Community Park in North Brunswick. It will be at 7:30 tonight. Come, with wudu. Make sure you're wearing your mask as well too. You're going to social distance there. Make sure you bring your own prayer carpet as well. We will finish and complete, inshallah ta'ala, with Salatul Maghrib in the park and pray together there. So make sure you have wudu. There aren't going to be bathroom facilities at the park. They are not open. And so just come out tonight at 7:30, inshallah ta'ala. And please, like I said, take all the safety precautions that you already are aware of. Thirdly, just as a reminder, we do have summer camp is coming up, not next week, but the following week for ages 7 to 12. The information is on the website. So please register for that as well. Finally, this is Yom al-Jum'ah. Please be generous on this day of Jum'ah. Be generous with your dua, be generous with your donations. Be generous with the time you spend with family and friends. Be generous today, inshallah ta'ala, on this day of generosity. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. All right, everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Inshallah, we will recap the schedule that Sami Kadovic just talked about. We'll recap that at the end in case you missed it, or just for the sake of repetition, which involves the Jummah, the Dhikr night at the park. We'll talk about those details. We'll talk about the classes coming up Sunday, as well as the kids camp. You know, if you have little kids, you don't want to miss that kids camp, which is 9 to 12, if I'm not mistaken, or 9:30 to 12:30. Check the website. But Sami, Medak, Zaina, they always put together a really fun camp. It's one of the funnest times of the year, to be honest with you. When we used to do it, to see all these kids running around and doing hifd and being in a nice in the masjid like that. There's a lot of toxicity in the air these days. The world is not a fun place. We're in a transition, and the transitions are never fun. Right? There's no moral authority in the world anymore. There's no single authority that can give us stability, whether we like it or not. We might not like that authority, but at least it would give us stability. We don't have any of that, and we have a lot of upheaval, and we have so much distance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I regularly turn to the children's hifd circles, the circles in which children are doing hifd, and the sound of kids reciting Quran. This is the best rahmah, and the that's what I focus on these days, when you just see so much negativity around you, that when you hear that, you realize there's good in the world, and there will be good in the world as long as there are kids memorizing the Quran and kids running around in the masjid. And I used to be one of those types of people of don't touch this, put your shoes away. But now I still I'm about cleanliness, but it's just so inspiring to see little kids running around the masjid. So if they have a couple, annoying habits here and there, we could put up with it, as long as that positive definitely outweighs that negative. So unfortunately, it'll be virtual, but still, nonetheless, you can have your kids sitting in front of the screen and doing their hifd and giving tasmiyah and sort of competing against each other, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so we have a couple of things. Firstly, we have an announcement. Unfortunately, yet another member of our community, again, from the elders, the aunt of Hajj Shiliwala. Everyone knows Hajj Shiliwala. If you don't know him by name, you do know him by face. And he's also the cousin of Muhammad Shiliwala, and also Wasim Shiliwala. People that you know in the community. Their aunt, Amina Bibi, has passed away, sadly, from COVID-19, and she was suffering for many, many weeks on end in the hospital. I think it was about 3 months, and we ask Allah Ta'ala that be a kafara for her sins. May Allah Ta'ala enter her into Jannat al-Firdaus and treat her as the treatment of a martyr, and make her an intercessor for her family and community and all of the circle that she left behind, that is now mourning her passing. So that is Amina Bibi from the Shiliwala family. We ask Allah Ta'ala to give her Jannat al-Firdaus. Second, today is Juneteenth, which is short for June 19th. Many people don't really know about it, but it probably will become a national holiday eventually, and as it should. And it commemorates a time that is sort of mixed, okay? And that is the end of slavery. And it's mixed because one thing ended, but another bad thing actually started. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation came in 1863. January 1st, 1863. It took 2.5 years before the Northern forces, Major General Gordon Granger, was able to come down with his company of soldiers and officially announce and enforce the end of slavery. So that is June 19th, 1865. So now we're moving close to 200 years, minus 45 or minus 45 years. So do the math if you're good at math. 155 years since June 19th, 1865. Now, there are a couple things that we have to say about this, and that is, the first thing is, I always think about the Orientalists. What are the as someone who is a student of theology, and that's my field, I always think, well, what is the critic and the one who's fighting Islam? Since we're speaking from a starting point of Islam, that's our starting point at all times, and we never diverge from that starting point. The starting point of all of our discourse is that Allah is real, the Prophet ﷺ is true, and our method of doing everything is through the lens of the Quran and the Sunnah. And so I always think of, what is someone on the opposite side? They're always attacking our deen. We have to have answers to these deen. The first thing they're going to say is, hey, what are you celebrating the abolition of slavery for, when slavery's on your books in Islam, right? So my answer to this is twofold. Number one, I can answer you very easily how the slavery that's on the books of the Sharia is absolutely zero, nothing like the slavery that was abolished in 1865. All right. And with the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. That's number one. But secondly, I'm not going to. I'm not going to defend it because you shouldn't even be talking. And who's you? Is anyone speaking from that Christian and humanist or humanist, atheist, humanistic perspective? If you're coming from that perspective, then you don't have any right to talk. Now, someone might say Christians, but they're our friends. Yeah, a lot of times Christians are our friends because at least they share a belief. And when we're living amongst atheists, humanists, and what have you, and people whose morality is way off the deep end, yes, the Christians are our friends, but sometimes they're our enemy too, our rival or our disputant, we should say. Al-khasm in Arabic, in the Sharia, we call that a khasm. The khasm is somebody that you're disagreeing with, right? Someone you're having a debate with. And on certain issues, they are our khasm. The Protestants, oftentimes, they were like very close up top to their most wanted list, right? They have, their categories of people who are most wanted or their enemies. So sometimes there is some animosity. And the Christians oftentimes come at us. The Protestants oftentimes come at us. Maybe the Catholics not so much, but the Protestants definitely do. And the atheist humanists come at us too. And I'm going to say to them, none of you Western Christians or humanists, who are you to talk? World War I, World War II, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the transatlantic slave trade. You wiped out the Native Americans, and now you're coming and you realize you did something wrong. Now you're preaching to the world and judging other laws. You are nobody to judge. You need to close your mouth and actually just spend your time repenting, right, to your God and pay reparations to your people that you've harmed. So the Christian perspective, that epistemology, and that humanistic perspective, we can't always be nice guys. These people are coming after us. You guys have nothing to talk about, right? You've done so much harm to the world with these perspectives. And by the way, when they come in and attack Islam, hold on a second. Hitler was from your perspective, whether it be Christian or atheist, whichever one you want to put him in. He was practicing Christian, I believe, right? That's what the books say. And you can't just disown that from your history. You guys did that. So don't come to us and judge our law, all right? So I'm not even going to defend the Sharia because the person making the attack, he has got no moral grounds to begin with, all right? So in private circles of studies amongst Muslims, then we could discuss how is it different. And by the way, slavery is not something that Islam promotes. It's something that Islam inherited. And then it limited it so much and promoted emancipation. It limited it so much that you can never inherit. You never be born a slave. That's the one thing. It's never inherited. So you never end up with a class of slave upon slave upon slave. That's one thing. Secondly, who do you take as a slave if you're a Muslim? It's only someone who's trying to kill you in a war, right? I mean, you're already trying to kill them. In war, we recognize both sides are killing each other, right? That's nothing wrong. They're trying to kill you. You're trying to kill them to save your lives, okay? And so in that case, you're already taking his life, right? Then in that case, you have options to kill your prisoners of war, to ransom them back, or to keep them for labor. And if they produce a child, that child is not born into slavery, okay? He's free, right? And there are hukuk that the Prophet put, that he can sue his master if he hits him, if he hurts him, whatever, or mistreatment. So, but we're not going to even go there because the ones bringing the attack, and this, I want to tell the many Muslims who are always on the defensive about their deen, who is bringing the attack and what moral grounds do you have, right? What moral grounds do you have? So these Western perspectives have zero moral grounds, and they should just shut their mouths and just start repenting for all the things. They haven't even cleaned up their own homes yet. Their own civilizations have a mess, and they should just spend their time fixing that rather than going and judging another law and another civilization and another system of morality. All right. You have no morality. You're still working things out. So keep it at that and don't even talk. Second thing, the end of slavery itself, like I said, it's a split thing. It's, yes, that's great. But do you know how many horrific things continued after that? Like yesterday, we talked about that guilt is not passed on, but consequences are. Okay. And that was specific to slavery. But after slavery, how much happened? Okay. How much happened after slavery? You had lynchings. All that happened after slavery. That the northern troops went down, they left, and then all of a sudden, all of those freed slaves. Now there's freed slaves. So now they're citizens. Now it was free reign upon them. And if you look at the history, a lot of the KKK, they couldn't openly be KKK anymore. They went into law enforcement, right? And that's not to go and generalize on all law enforcement, but that's a fact. Oftentimes they were sheriffs of police, mayors sometimes, okay? And how many innocent kids were convicted? The youngest person to have the death penalty upon the person was a 14-year-old boy, 14-year-old African-American boy, black boy, who was accused of raping and killing 2 white girls. Okay. They caught him like walking to a store or something. They picked him up. And then a white man, years later on his deathbed, confessed to the murder. He said, I did it. And he was so prominent in South Carolina. He was so prominent that he had the judges in his pocket, everyone in his pocket. The deliberation was not even 4 or 5 minutes by the jury. The deliberation. Now, 14-year-old boy, is he even baligh to do rape, right? How is he going to overpower 2 girls and he's a scrawny kid? Okay. So just to show you how much continued after that. And for us in Sharia, oppression, there is of 2 types. There is a dhulm that can be convicted in the courts. Okay. There's oppression that can be convicted in the courts. And there's the oppression that Allah sees. And that is that which is in your hearts. If you dismiss somebody, let's say somebody comes and said, listen, I need help. Okay. And I got a message the other day, or, someone put out one of these social media messages or posts about the anger about, for coming from certain quarters of the community against other quarters of the community. Now, nothing in the post was a crime, but it was all injurious feelings. And do you know that in the sight of Allah Ta'ala, to hurt the feeling of another Muslim is harm? So when Allah says don't harm each other, that's not talking about crimes. That's talking about something else. Okay. It's not talking about crimes. Don't harm each other is don't even hurt each other's feelings. And when I see people's feelings are hurt and they're saying so many Muslims, they live such a good life and they don't help us, right? And they don't look at us and they just give us token positions here and there, and they ignore us. We have to take that seriously, because that's a Muslim who's angry, is upset. Yet you could say, oh, a Muslim should not have resentment, a Muslim should not have anger, but that's not the time. The time is to look at, why is that Muslim to begin with filled with animosity? Why? Because that's the nature of human beings. When you have and I don't have, and you're not helping, I'm going to have animosity. Now is not the time to come and tell me, purify the heart and don't have anger and resentment. Yeah, that's true. That's 100% true. A Muslim should not have anger and resentment from someone just from not helping him. But that's not the time to say it. And the real reaction should be, well, what do? We're responsible for this, right? You're responsible if another member of the community is emotionally hurt. Okay. Yes, you're not legally responsible. There's no crime involved, but in our concept of ukhuwah in Islam, we're responsible for that. And if we don't address it and take that onus of responsibility, then something not good is going to happen, like fitna, like differentiation, like people deviating from one another, from disunity. All of that stuff comes when people don't even care about each other's hearts. So our deen is very different than other social secular movements out there, which we shouldn't be part of. Even if we overlap on a few things, we care far more about just laws, right? Look at what's going on. They're just changing laws. They're changing outwards. Our deen says, where is your heart? Okay. And so our deen is so much so, it's very simple what the Prophet ﷺ did to eradicate superiority complexes. And in the last khutbah, what did he say? There's no benefit of the black over the red, or the Arab over the non-Arab, okay? Or the black over the white, or the white over the black and the Arab over the non-Arab. Well, one of the stories is that there was a Sahabi. He was new in Islam. He wasn't one of the veteran companions with the Prophet. He was brand new in Islam. And the daughter had actually come into Islam earlier, and the younger companions oftentimes were a lot more pure, because they didn't have the jahiliyyah, the ignorance of their forefathers. They hadn't yet inherited it. So the daughter inherited a pure Islam. Now the parents were not. Okay. And the Prophet ﷺ saw a man dismissing and looking down on a dark-skinned companion. Now, notice the Arabs have amongst them, like the Arab called themselves red and black. Red, you turn red in the sun, okay, or you turn black in the sun. So it is not necessarily African per se, but there's a gamut, okay. And even within this gamut, and we all know this, the light skin always looks down on the dark skin, right? Whether it be in India or Egypt or have the white skin always looks down on the dark skin. So the Prophet was trying to eradicate that, even if it wasn't like black from Africa. He was looking down at the dark Arabs. This man was looking down at the dark Arabs. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ, he sent them a message. He said, "We would like to discuss marriage with you." They got happy. Wow, the Prophet's going to marry into our family. That's great. Prophet ﷺ said, "No, I'm going to arrange a marriage. I'm suggesting to arrange a marriage between your daughter and a man." They said, "Okay, who's the man?" He said, "That man right there." It was a dark man, just like the one that he had disparaged. The father literally broke, right? It's because when you realize that your grandson is now, okay, because the whole thing is that you don't connect with a person of that vulnerability, of that suffering. If you connected with a person, it becomes personal and everything changes. And if that person is in your family, okay, if that person is in your family, then everything changes. And that's a situation that people got to be in, all right? We're not going to actually truly be different if we refuse to allow intermarriage, right? So you say, okay, well, I prefer my own people. Fine. Okay. But what happens if your son or daughter prefers someone else? Are you going to stop it? And this is something like, honestly, this is the only solution to this. If that's a true litmus test of whether or not we truly care about skin color, right? Culture is a different thing, but skin color, there's no excuse for, right? So in this situation, what we have is a cure by action. And we have a path, and we have an example, and we have a discourse that goes to the hearts. Do you care about the emotions of someone, right? That's upset. Even if you say, okay, you shouldn't have anger and resentment, but that's not your business right now. The business is there a reason for them to be upset? There is reasons, right? And now we go to the issue of, well, what do we do? What do we do? What is our work? And our work is that our politics as Muslims, our social work as Muslims, is targeted to the oppressed, weak, and vulnerable. That's who we're targeting. That's our politics. Our politics is not left and right, and don't ever dare join the left or the right. We should never join either one of these parties, even if there's overlap, even if you're going to work with one of them in an overlap, but you don't join them, right? We have our own minhaj. And the minhaj of all prophets is that their politics is that politics of the oppressed and of the weak. Okay? And of the oppressed, it's advocacy. You advocate for justice for them. And if it's the weak, then you do relief work. So our work, our politics is the politics of the oppressed and the vulnerable, the weak and the suffering. And our action is advocacy and relief. All right? And for that, we have to, as a community, forge our own path. We have a better manhaj. We just have to do it, but we haven't done it, right? Well, I shouldn't even say that. Many people are doing this type of work, right? But we really need to do it with strength and not make ourselves just join in with one group or the other, all right? Now, I don't know any Muslims who are sort of joining on the right-wing side of things, but definitely the left-wing side, we are for sure. Many in our camps joining these left-wing movements, which they're also propping up such filth, ideas that you can't even come close to reconciling it with the Quran and with Islam. So just because there's one or two overlaps, I mean, that's it. You're going to just subsume yourself into the whole thing and eat up their whole menu? No. We have a far superior path. We have a minhaj, but we just haven't done it. We have to do it. We have to have the confidence in doing it, right? And so it's a long road, but we are starting and we are doing it, and we have been doing, but it's always slow. Our work is always slow and slow but consistent, and we have a minhaj, and we have to get better. And if people criticize us and say, "Oh, it's all talk," no, let them criticize. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see if we're able to swallow that criticism, number one, ignore it if you have to. I mean, some people, there are always going to be people who are haters, okay, in anything that you do. You either see if the criticism has value or not. And number two, right, if it doesn't have value and it's just hate and putting you down, you ignore it. Simple as that. And you do this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, the criticism, if they have value, then accept it. All right, so let's open it up now to the group chat. All right, let's open it up to the group chat and see what everyone has to say. And feel free to bring up any topic, really. It doesn't have to be this topic. Question is, can someone rectify their parents? They really shouldn't go there. In Islam, we don't really do that. Um, except if you do it very gently, and many of the immigrant parents, yeah, they have racist comments are on their tongue. It's not abnormal, or it's something that's important for us to know, and for our friends, okay, who are would be hurt by these comments, to know that we recognize that. I recognize that a lot of parents, they have that racist comments are on their tongue. They absorbed it and they say it, and we don't accept it, right? But we are not a people that go and do a revolution on them. If you want to talk to them, you talk to them very gently, and you should. And you shouldn't laugh with them when they say like that. You can express something politely, by the way. Like, we're not a religion of just sheep. You can talk, but you have to make sure that with your parents, it's very sensitive. Okay. The way in which we talk. We're not a people of revolutions. We're not like these other generations, that flipping over tables of the elders. We're not like that. But at the same time, if we see a dhulm or wrong, we're gonna say it. We're gonna recognize it, at least, number one. Avoid it, and not continue it. Right. So, but it is important for us to recognize that. Yeah, I recognize a lot of things of the previous generation. We're not we're not perfect, or dhulm, or wrong, or bad, right? Completely. So we should recognize that, so that people don't think that we're just accepting of it. Okay. All right. Omar Yusuf says, what takes precedence when it comes to recitation, memorization, understanding of the Quran in daily lives? In the month of Ramadan, it's recitation. In the month of Ramadan, it's recitation. And outside of the month of Ramadan, it is hifz. All right. Hifz. Okay. How do we become strong believers against the culture that surrounds us? First thing, my advice to people is that my vision of the way things are going is that the left and the right, they're going to destroy each other, and they're going to destroy America. That's my belief, right? They're going to destroy each other, and in the process, America is going to be left behind. That's my belief on things. That's what I see going forward. And our job is to outlast them. Our job is to not be part of either one of these. Again, our politics is the politics of the oppressed and the vulnerable. No matter who they are, what their other crimes are, the oppressed and the vulnerable is our politics. We're neither from the right or the left. Don't be part of these. These are two parties that are already, in my opinion, destroyed. They're already destroyed. What they stand for are destructive things. Okay. What they stand for are already is sign of destruction, and it's just a matter of time. Okay. And we have to outlast them. And I read in the history of the Roman Empire, of nations, of groups that existed inside of Rome itself, but they did not identify with their culture. They had their own way of doing things and their own everything. Okay. And they outlasted them. And we will outlast these two groups. And then we'll be possibly able, the road will be paved, the platform, the circumstance will be opened up for us, okay, to start offering what we've preserved. Okay, so I really do believe that Muslims should have a little bit more confidence in themselves, never not join the left or the right. Again, like I said, I don't think any Muslims are joining the right, but there may be some, okay, that sort of assume that, consciously separate and differentiate yourself. We have something greater. Okay, where's our understanding of what we have? If you really truly understood it, okay, you'd never subsume yourself or even identify with any of these groups. They're already destroyed by what they stand for. Okay, destruction, being destroyed, is about what you stand for morally, not your status financially and politically. All right, and that's what we talked about yesterday about al-izza wa dhul. Okay, they're already going off a cliff. They're going to destroy each other, and they're going to cause America to be a country that's sort of behind because of this civil war. If you don't think we're in a civil war, there are phases of civil war. We're in civil war. It's just they're not with bullets yet. Okay, yet, but we're in a civil war. It's just not armed. We're civil war. One of the studies of civil wars and strife is that there are degrees of it. When there's so much hatred, okay, that you cannot even accept a fact from each side. You cannot even listen to each side. You cannot speak objectively. You have to join the side. Everyone is an activist. The judges are activists. The media, their anchormen are everyone has to join the side. That is the beginning of civil war. It's just a matter that it's not physical yet. So we're witnessing that. How can a nation lead the world and be advanced materially, right, politically, if they're at each other's throat like this? So for us, again, our politics is the vulnerable and the oppressed, is not either one of these groups. These groups will go. They'll reap a lot of destruction, and we will, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, outlast them with our masajid, our families, our Quran, our understanding of marriage, our understanding of filial piety. That's how generations continue, okay, of respecting our elders and our parents, okay, of having a law, of having morality, a conscience, okay. By that, we will outlast these groups bi'idhnillah ta'ala, and be in a position, hopefully at some point, maybe to offer something that's been destroyed in the process of their mutual assured destruction. Muhammad Yusuf, assalamu alaikum. What if a mother has a habit of backbiting the father, should they listen to that? Astaghfirullah. I feel bad for the sister, to be honest with you. I feel bad for the sister. I feel bad for the mom too, and the dad. The mom's so unhappy she backbites her kid's father or her husband, and I feel bad for the dad too. Right? Man's doing all these things. His wife hates him after all this time. I feel very bad for the whole family. Okay. You should make a lot of dua, maybe make tahajjud to try to bring your parents together. And you should try to change the subject. You should maybe say it makes you uncomfortable. Tell her I can't do anything. If I laugh with you, if I listen with you, I'm sinning against my dad. If I disrespect you, then I'm offending you. So don't put me in this position, but some people don't have that relationship to talk freely like that with their parents. What if the parents try to impose cultural things on us by saying that it's Islamic? Can we tell them that they are confused between deen and culture? Again, you can, but with a lot of sensitivity and manners. That's really the way to do things, right? Sheikh, what is the responsibility of a father until what age? The father for the son until the son is of age that he can take care of himself. And unfortunately, many dads and moms, they pamper their boys so much. He's Prince of Persia. He doesn't pick up his plate. He doesn't know how to make his bed. He just plays all day. He never works. Okay. He's entitled. He's lazy. And then you wonder why at the age of 19, he can't earn $1. And he's living in your basement until he's 30. And he's probably one of these anonymous. And then he gets a religious awakening because no other group will accept him except us, right? Because of sympathy. And then he becomes an anon, right? An anonymous person commanding right and forbidding wrong on the internet. Okay. And Allah said, and the messenger said, meanwhile, he's in his mom's basement, okay, living there like a bum. And that's exactly what we have going on. And subhanallah, you're a bum. You should work. And the best thing is to be kicked out, maybe. Okay. Because subhanallah, unless you have extra terms to be kicked out, he's going to have to get a job. Once you get a job, the next thing is thinking of a better job. Okay. And I'm walking, I go and I see ladies at the Walmart. She's like on a cane like this, and she doesn't even speak English, and she's wearing the Walmart shirt. Okay. And it says, I speak Hindi or something, right? And she can't even help you because she doesn't speak English. They hired her. And then you have these anonymous kids, these kids commanding right and forbidding wrong on the internet or playing video games. At least those kids are practicing praying and stuff. But these other video game kids just playing and being homeless bums. And then we said, okay, son, we need to get yourself together. Think about what you want to do with your life. He comes and says, I want to start a business. I work for myself. I have to work for myself. Oh, so you want to be at the top right away, right? This is a bunch of nonsense. And I'm going and I'm seeing people who they should be in nursing homes. They should be in like care. They're on wheelchairs and they're working at Walmart and these places and Home Depot and these places. And then you have these just waste of space youth. Okay. Who want to start a business. Okay. Oh, I need to start a business. I need to work for myself. I'm a creative, right? I'm an influencer. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And then you have them full of frustration. Okay. Because no one set them on a right track. You have to learn how to work. We have work ethic in our religion. For the daughter, he must take care of her and he shall not tell her to go work at all until she marries. Okay. Until she marries. Okay. Why is our community so spoiled living in America? Because we have too much wealth. Too much wealth. Could you stop ringing the doorbell, will you? All right. Too much wealth we have, and too much is no good. Everything is just so easy, right? Honestly, a little bit of hardship, might do you some good. And if it doesn't exist, then we'd have to simulate it. Okay, we have to simulate it with work, right? I believe youth should work. They should work, and not all the time in the sense that you can't study. No, studying is more important than work. Knowledge is more important. So if someone's studying constructively, not studying like on my own, constructively in a program, that to me is more important than work. Knowledge is more important than work. But if they're not, they should work, right? So 14, 15 years old, in Islam, we have youth, we have child, okay, طفل, مراهق, رجل, or, right, بالغ, I should say. So child is a child. He's completely dependent. They should not ask him much. He's just a child. But then you have murahiq. From 7 to 14 usually is murahiq. Murahiq means, in Sharia, it's a term that means they're aware of things, but they're not baligh. Okay. And then we have bulugh. Bulugh for girls can come at like 11, 12. For boys, 13, 12, 14, right? Depending. Once you hit bulugh, I believe fathers should truly start treating their sons like men. Okay. You have duties in the house, right? Act like a man, right? Be an adult, not 25 years old on video games. It just makes no sense. And then you wonder, and then you're crying and having fights in the house. All right. If there are no other comments or questions, inshallah, we'll stop there. Okay. All right, nothing else. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.